Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Locker Room. As always, we do this every single week, but this week is just a little bit different. We're going to have our keys to victory as always. First thing you need to do as a viewer of the show, and if it is your first time checking out The Locker Room or any of the Bussin With The Boys content, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to this thing. And while you're at it, since you're already going to do that, go ahead and hit a comment as well. Now, I am doing the show by myself this week. Delaney Walker is in California handling some business on the West Coast, while Will Compton has added another wolf to his wolf pack. So both boys are out today, and it will be me solo during the NFL portion, and then picking off a couple of guys like Sherm and Jack and Mitch for the college portion of our pick. So what I need you to do today, I got home from our stream yesterday. I spent about 5 hours looking at these picks, and I've got to tell you, this might be the week that we truly go undefeated. And the best way to feel that we're going to go undefeated is believing and knowing that our fan call-in segment, Nate Dogg, hit on his military parlay last week. We have another fan call-in this week. We're going to have a hell of a time. Please comment. Please subscribe. Let's have a fucking day, boys. Let's get after it. Welcome back. Well, welcome to The Locker Room. I just did the intro a second ago, sat down, put this mic on, and I am fired up to be with all of you today. Speaking of fire, let's talk about our presenting sponsor today, which is Fireball. The Locker Room is presented by Fireball Whiskey. Fireball is a perfect shot for game day, whether you're buying those sneaky little shooters before going to the stadium or going big with the Fireball keg for your tailgate, whether it's pregame shot in a tailgate lot or a celebratory touchdown shot at the bar. No matter what, it's guaranteed to ignite your game day. Now, love Fireball, love all the sponsors that always come in here, boys, but we love picks. We have put together a document with enough data on here for me to sit here and personally, there's no guarantees. This is as if I was a lawyer and you sat down and said, hey, Taylor, I need to go through this case, blah, 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 and your case looks really good. As a lawyer, I don't know if it's against the law or not, but it's definitely frowned upon for me to say that things are guaranteed. Same thing in the betting world. I can't sit here and say I'm going to guarantee all these picks. I will say, however, as I sit here on November 13th and you're watching this on November 14th, I feel the best I've ever felt about this week's slate of picks. We've got some ballsy ones, we've got some exciting ones, and it's going to be a hell of a day. And even more big news. Right over here, boys. To the left of me, we have brand new Bussin With The Boys merch that'll be coming out for Black Friday. I have my right-hand man over to my side here with the microphone in his face. That is correct. Black Friday, right, Garrett?
Correct.
Boom. We're feeling fantastic about it. I, personally, this is my favorite setup of merch. And it's not just over here. It's also on top of my head as well. Took a shower today, too. Thank God. But we got the Titans colors, girl dad hats. These 47 boys look fantastic. There's a whole bunch more just like this. Just want to let you guys know. So let's start today with a quote. JP Hovey was a quote guy yesterday in our stream, and I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about this. And it's the secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for when his opportunity comes. Now, what does that mean? It means if you make small actions, that will create opportunity, which in turns creates success. By you coming to this YouTube channel today, fellas, and ladies possibly, by you subscribing and commenting, and you pulling out your DraftKings Sportsbook app, dialing it all up, taking your hard-earned money, and picking these picks, you have created the opportunity to be successful. Let's have a fucking day. And the game, first game we're going to talk about is the Thursday night game. Now, when the schedules are getting made, and I think this is the most ridiculous thing in the world, is when like people get hyped up for when the schedules are going to be released. Shout out the NFL. They do an incredible job of having, hey, schedules are coming out. A couple of these teams get leaked and that. When they went and sat in this week's Thursday slot and they looked at Washington Commanders, who haven't been good since Will Compton was the captain in 2015, and since the Philadelphia Eagles started like a 10-3 or something like that, and they thought they were going to set the world on fire, and then all of a sudden they came crashing down, losing first round of the playoffs last year. They looked at this slate and they thought, well, hey, you're not going to hit them all, but we've got to get an NFC East game in for this Thursday night slot. Now, Fast forward to mid-November. You've got a 7-3 Washington Commanders versus a 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles are on a 5-game win streak right now. And when we talk about the NFC East, obviously each section is brought into 4 teams. No one gives a shit about the Cowboys anymore. No one gives a shit about the Giants anymore. Head coach is saying we're evaluating everything, which is the exact same thing the Colts said about their quarterback the week before they benched him. Daniel Jones might be out of there. Dak Prescott caught himself a small little hammy. Who knows how bad it really is? Could be grade through 3, 2, or 1. I don't really know. But he made the smart move, the business decision after signing a big contract to get the hell out of Dodge and get that surgery, wait for a new coach after this season, because we all know Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat. At this point right now, I don't know if he's number 1 on the hot seat, but he is definitely top 3. We're going to talk about somebody I think is number 1 later on in this show. But just look at these games for a little bit. Washington Commanders had a big opportunity last week for another Jaden Daniels legacy type of drive against the Steelers. Obviously, that got shut down. The Steelers are a great defense. They end up losing that game 28-7, but everyone's still sitting around saying this rookie is an absolute phenom, still in this MVP race, can do all the things, make the tight throws, feels the presence in the pocket, and can push the ball down the field while also using his legs. The Eagles essentially had themselves a bye week last week against the Cowboys. You had Cooper Rush, who Sherm loved to point out on the bus last week. He's been with the team for a little bit. He gets a nod for the start. The games he did start a few years ago or last year, he went 4-0, so the Cowboys are feeling somewhat excited about that. That game was as boring as those games could possibly be. So now you got the Eagles coming off somewhat of a bye week to get to rest some of their guys, and you got a pissed off Washington Commanders team. This game right now, the Eagles are favored by 3.5. The total points in that game is 48.5. What's exciting to me about this game is not just this Thursday night football game. It's the implications of the NFC that's going on throughout the entire league right now, because both these teams, with a win, are now fighting for that 1 seed spot and that bye going into the playoffs, while the team that loses may find their way out of the playoffs. If you look at the wild card race right now, after you get your divisional leaders at number 5, you have the Vikings at 7-2. You have the Commanders, who we're talking about now, at 7-3 as a 6 seed, and then the Packers at 6-3. Not to mention, we have a San Francisco 49ers team that is waiting in the wings with a healthy Christian McCaffrey, who had 100 yards of total offense last week. Didn't get the end zone. We'll get to him on the Bet the Boys Parlay in a little bit, that we need to break that curse. But I'm just saying, this NFC is really shaping up to be incredible. And now, as we've gone from the preseason to the current present part of the season, we're looking at this Thursday night game, and it is as important as it could possibly be. December 22nd is the next time these two teams are going to see each other, and we could be looking at guys at some point sitting or fighting for that 1 seed to get to the top, if anybody can figure out a way to edge out the Lions, even if they had 5 interceptions last week. We'll get to them on the next game. The choices are difficult in this one. I think the Washington Commanders have a great offense. The Eagles do as well. Commanders are 3rd in the NFL in points per game. Eagles are 7th in the NFL points per game. Eagles also are number 5 in points per game on their defense. We all know, as a team, the Eagles are a better team if you just looked at it on a piece of paper on a roster. But there's a lot of things about Sirianni, and as he get out, they want Doug Peterson back, who's just abysmal down in Jacksonville, Florida. That's crazy to me. But Philly's a tough place to play, and they have very high bar for all those guys. I am personally going to take my pick as Commanders plus 3.5. That is the safe pick. I could see the Commanders sneaking out a win in this game, but my job, as the Mule likes to say, is to get you guys units day in and day out, or week in and week out when we come on the locker room. I feel very confident about that pick. Because both these offenses are so potent, because A.J. Brown is cooking, he hasn't been in the end zone for a little bit. I think he gets in the end zone this weekend. I think the over in this game is also a hit. So, Jared, go ahead and put me down with that. That's 48.5 points. So I got the over and the Commanders. But that's an incredible start to this Thursday NFL slate. It's going to be incredible. Now what we're going to get to.
Before you move on, Will did send in a couple picks, and this was one that you guys actually agree on, Commanders plus 3.5. You know Will wore the C, so he's going to ride with you on that one.
I love that. From beyond the grave. From a hospital room, Will Compton rides with the boy. I do love it. I'm excited to see where he goes and everything else. The next game we're going to talk about, let me flip my sheet because I got my notes right here. Now, the next game is game of the week. And a lot of people, when they look at game of the week, they think to themselves, it's got to be the most, both the most prolific teams out there, who's got the most media when you put on the NFL networks or the ESPN. To me, game of the week, and to Bussin With The Boys, game of the week is what we feel most confident about. And the game I feel most confident about right now is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are at the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are favored by 13 points. Total points in that game is 47. I can't, my eyes are so bad. Huh? Georgia Boot. I apologize. Thank you so much, JP. Put those boys right there for you guys to be able to see. Georgia Boot, America's hardest working boot, designed for the hardest jobs. All-day comfort keeps your feet comfortable for long work days. Durable construction lasts through heavy use in tough conditions. Trusted by hard-working professionals. Step into ultimate comfort with Georgia Boots, America's hardest working boots. Now go ahead and use yourself code BUSSIN to get 20% off at the checkout and experience the durability and comfort trusted by hard-working professionals across the country. Head to georgiaboot.com. I'm going to set that little boy right there. If somebody wants to come and grab it, they're more than welcome to. Game of the week, as I was saying. This game, the games aren't necessarily about like who's going to have the most views, so who has the most impressive offenses, both teams going head-to-head, who's going to win this game. Obviously, when we look at a spread like 13 points, we get a little bit nervous. And I'm not going to get super statty on you guys today. Obviously, we're going to paint a little bit more of a picture as we get more of these. But the stats in this game, to me, are important. Let's just talk about the Jags offense. Jags offense, 23rd points per game, 25th in rushing, 25th in yards per game, 31st in time of possession. Okay? That is rough. Now let's talk about the Detroit Lions offense. 2nd in points per game, 7 in yards per game, 6th in third down, and 5th in red zone. Jacksonville's defense, I'm gonna save you all the numbers. They're bottom half in the late 20s, if not 32nd in all of their things. Trevor Lawrence right now is dealing with an AC sprain. We see it a little bit with the Tennessee Titans, how Will Levis sustained that in the Miami Dolphins. Every week they're kind of like, is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Ends up taking a couple weeks before the boy finally got in the field last week. I see the same thing going on with Trevor Lawrence. This game is not about the Jags. It's about the definition of culture that the Detroit Lions are going to put on display this week. And you can see that display of culture in the second half of the Texans game. Now, when the Texans and the Lions went head-to-head in Houston, the Texans were leading the Lions 23-7 at halftime. Comebacks like that don't happen very often. I know there's the historical Super Bowl run with Tom Brady versus the Atlanta Falcons. But at that point, you get in the locker room and you're really thinking to yourself as fellas like, hey, let's run the ball, let's get out of there. And a lot of the guys that are starters, that are big-time stars, that were good ball players, you're kind of thinking to yourself, I wonder when coach is going to pull me so I can start resting these legs a little bit, because you're week 10, 11, 12 in the season. You want to take every snap off you can possibly get when you're afforded the ability to get that. The Lions did not allow the Texans to score another point. They handled time of possession. They were scoring from the air, land, and sea. They were doing everything they needed to do. And then they take a kicker who used to be a soccer player and then was a kickoff team specialist. And now he has made it by the hair of his chinny chin chin to win that game by 3 points. That's the kind of culture you're dealing with. And now this is why I like this pick the most, because everyone's very worried about minus 13. The Detroit Lions won, but they really lost. This team is number one in the NFC, the team that they say if anyone's going to beat the Chiefs, it's going to be the Lions. They have to continue to show their dominance and consistency. Jared Goff, before this game, had 2 interceptions. Now we get into the middle of the Houston game. That boy had 5 of them things. So now you have a pissed-off quarterback that knows he played like dog shit. You have a left tackle that goes out. That's Taylor Decker. Skipper comes in, does all right, but you can see that very strong and stout offensive line is letting a little bit of holes in. He's going to get another week if Taylor Decker can't go. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe it was October 7th, Doug Peterson got on during a press conference after one of their practices. And he says, he's asked the question, do you believe you're losing the locker room? Boom, right then and there. You hear that question, the answer is yes. I hate it. I hate talking bad because I have a lot of respect for Doug Peterson. I think he did a great job with the Eagles. And when he got to Jacksonville, when I was playing, they got a whole lot better. But if you're asked that question as a head coach, it should be rhetorical. That question is done. You have lost the locker room. A lot of these guys, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are supposed to be in contention of winning the AFC South, they're thinking about Cabo San Lucas right now. They're thinking about the Bahamas. These pasty white boys with 350 pounds, they're looking at their sloppy bodies that hasn't seen the sun in a couple of weeks in the mirror and going, man, I can't wait to get to X and X beach. They're not necessarily thinking about going into Detroit, who has completely been revitalized by Dan Campbell and his soundbite after soundbite. I don't know if we can pull the clip. I don't know if we're allowed to pull the clip, but Dan Campbell's halftime halftime comments as he was coming back on the field, that'll light a fire in your ass. That'll get your ass going. So I personally think the Lions take care of business. They won the worst way possible, and they made themselves pissed off while still keeping a mark in the W column. I feel really good about Lions, minus 13. Now the points, 47. Like I said to you, you guys are here to make units. You guys are here to fight through the fringe. This is where I'm going to stay away from that, and I'm going to stay on the lines. Doug Peterson, by the way, I was talking about Mike McCarthy earlier. That individual is the guy that I'm talking about being number one, most likely on the hot seat. Probably going to lose his job in the next couple of weeks, if not at the end of the season. I hate saying it. Records speak for themselves. NFL stands for not for long. I'm not here to get disrespectful. I'm not here to do that. I'm just simply reporting what my honest thoughts are. Big fan of Doug Peterson. Now, let's get into the ballsy pick.
I'm going to stop you one more time because while those are great points about the Lions, and I personally agree with you, Will disagrees. Mm-hmm. He thinks the 13 points is a slap in the face from Vegas, so he's taking Jags plus 13.
For Will to take Jacksonville getting 13 points as a slap in the face would essentially mean that the Jaguars have some fight left in them. I think at this point where we're sitting right now, the Jags are truly just waiting for Christmas, waiting for the holiday season, that beautiful offensive line trip that everybody takes. They're not necessarily worried about making a statement in Detroit. I love Will Compton, but I'm sure he wasn't solely focused on looking at the games while he was bringing another child into his life.
I'd agree.
Right. We feel good about it. You feel good about Lions.
Absolutely.
I think the Lions are fantastic. They're amazing. Also fantastic. We probably said it 10 minutes ago. I'm gonna tell you again. Fireball, boys. So many things make football great, but you know what is the best? Kicking the shit out of your rival. Wow. There's absolutely no better feeling as an athlete or a fan. This week, we've got Bills and Chiefs. That's the game I'm going to go over in my ballsy pick. And Fireball Whiskey is here to give you the spark to ignite that rivalry all season long. Grab your football buddy, buy a round, and reignite that rivalry flame. Okay. Let's talk ballsy pick. Let's talk Chiefs. Let's talk Buffalo Bills. This game, when I talked to you about game of the week and game I felt most confident about, there was the spread with the Lions. Now, if we're looking at the game of the week, the absolute game of the week that everyone's going to want to tune into and watch, it's Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. It's a first-round pick in 2017, the first-round pick of 2018, only separated by 3 picks. Josh Allen taking 7th overall in 2018. Patrick Mahomes taking 10th overall in 2017. These guys, this is a nice little stat for you right here. Only 2 quarterbacks from different divisions met 8 times in 5 years. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. How about that for a stat? So you know you're going to get fireworks every single week. As the records stand right now, Patrick Mahomes is up 4-3 on Josh Allen. An interesting stat about Patrick Mahomes is he's one. Well, let me get back to that. Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 in the playoffs. So what does history kind of tell us? Josh Allen, regular season, 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes. Everything is telling us right now that the Bills are going to win this game, and then the Chiefs are going to win it when they see each other in January. I don't love it. I think you look at the Chiefs, and the Chiefs that we know and love, the dynamic offense. Patrick Mahomes steps in the field, points are going to go on the board. It's a little bit different. This year, they've won in so many different ways. They've won off of the toe of Isaiah Likely, Thursday Night Football, week 1. Literally, if his shoe size was 1 shoe size smaller, we're looking at overtime, possibly a Ravens win. And that's before they figured out Derrick Henry. You got defense making big plays. Obviously, you're going to have Patrick Mahomes making his plays. He needs to go down the field, get 3, get 7. Patrick Mahomes has shown that. And even a special teams blocked kick against the Denver Broncos last week. We're really finding ourselves in a situation where momentum is the biggest factor of the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're just finding ways to win every single week. Now, I think there's a bit of a twilight zone we're about to have this week. I believe in my heart of hearts, my ballsy pick is going to be the Chiefs money line. It's not the most outstanding odds. I think it's like plus 110. It's really a pick 'em. Chiefs are underdogs by 2.5 points going to Buffalo. I will say this now, and hold me to this quote. Jared, you can clip it for later in the season. When these two teams meet in January, whether it's in Kansas City or Buffalo, obviously if Kansas City wins this game, it'll most likely be in Kansas City. The Buffalo Bills will beat the Chiefs.
Let's go.
In the playoffs.
Let's go.
I think we have ourselves a bit of a, we're seeing greatness across the board. This is Patrick Mahomes' greatest record at this point in his short career, which is crazy to even say short because he has had a Hall of Fame career in the amount of time that he's been in the league. I think they're going to continue their success. They're going to hit double-digit wins this week. But when we get to the playoffs, you're going to have a pissed-off Josh Allen. And listen, you got James Cook, you got Amari Cooper, you got Keon Coleman, the rookie, and you got Dalton Kincaid. And they have a little phrase in the Buffalo Bills: everybody eats. Everybody eats. So Josh has been doing a great job of facilitating the ball everywhere. Obviously, James Cook hit us on one part of the 3 parts parlay. But the Boys Parlay, getting in the end zone last week, they're a high-functioning offense. Their defense has always been very high-functioning, that penetrating defense. We're going to see fireworks in this game. You're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs win this game. They're going to think, just like they thought with Joe Burrow, all of that, like the kryptonite talk starts to happen, and then these boys will see each other in the middle of January, and the Bills will exact their revenge. Which game would you rather have if you're a Buffalo Bills fan? Would you rather have a regular season win, or would you rather have it in the playoffs going to the Super Bowl or possibly the AFC Championship? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. We're just having a crystal ball in the locker room, and we're just looking towards the future. So my pick is going to be Chiefs money line versus the Bills. I'm going to stop you unless you say, does Will have a pick here?
Not so fast.
Right. You want me to say it? Will's picking the Bills to cover.
Will's taking the Bills and moving the line to 3.5, which makes it plus 124.
I like it. I like it. And he's following the rules of the ballsy pick. Right? He's doing the job, how we structured the show. I love that. That makes me all the more comfortable of the Chiefs money line. If Will would just finally bend the knee to the Chiefs, I swear it would be the end. It would be the foundational block that you finally pull away and the Chiefs would crumble. It's crazy a man has that much power and can't see it in front of his face. What do you mean? By the way, JP just said in the corner, he goes, they can't keep getting away with these wins. They fucking can. They got Andy Reid. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got Travis Kelce. They got everybody. They got Pacheco. Who's the DC? Spagnuolo. That guy, most unsung hero in the National Football League. He's fucking incredible. They are a complete team right now. Patrick Mahomes a couple weeks ago had more touchdowns than interceptions. Now he's got 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Not his best ball. He's not playing his best ball, but he's doing what he needs to do when it needs to be done. That's the reality we're living in right now. They don't ask how, they ask how fucking many.
There needs to be balance to the universe.
I don't doubt that at all. And brother, JP, I don't know if the mic picked that up. He said there needs to be balance to the universe. Regular season, I don't think we're going to find that balance. But this twilight zone we're living in, I'm telling you, brother, quote me right now, mid-January, the Bills are going to get theirs. Josh Allen's going to get his first win against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. But right now we're focused on this week.
Maybe twice.
And boys, so we got, right now, if you're just sitting with us in the locker room, we got Commanders plus 3.5 and the over 48.5 in the game against the Eagles. We got the Lions minus 13. We're going to stay away from the total points in that game. And we're going to take Chiefs money line. That's plus 110. Listen, those 3 picks right there, I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe we're 3-0. I do. I really fucking do. And if I'm a psychopath for that, then hey, sue me. I'm a psychopath. Now, we're going to get to the rapid fire. We're going to hit the Bet the Boys parlay. We're going to take a small, just tiny incremental break. and we're going to get ourselves to a little bit of fun with the college football season. That's where fun times are. That's when you just start throwing out shekels, right? You go to the penny slots, you go have a little fun over there, you get $4 and change, you start ripping around, see what's going to happen in college. We're going to have a fun time with that, but before we do, let's hit this rapid fire. I'm assuming, G, it's you? All right. G. I wouldn't know if we were going to do it today. I didn't know if we were going to do it.
I appreciate that. Big shoes to fill. All right, first game, Vikings -6 versus the Titans, over under 39.5.
Vikings -6.
Tough.
I know.
Packers -6.5 versus the Bears, over under 40.5.
Give me the Packers.
Will is also taking the Packers.
Sorry.
Ravens -3 versus the Steelers, over under 48.
Give me the Steelers.
Will is also taking the Steelers. Colts versus Jets. Jets are -4, over under 44.
Under.
Will is taking Colts +4. Thinks the Jets are dead. Browns versus Saints. Saints are -1, over under 44.5.
Under.
Saints +1 for Will. He believes in the juice. Falcons versus Browns. Browns -2.5, over under 44.
Give me the Falcons. Bounce back week.
Texans -7.5 versus the Cowboys, over under 42.
Texans.
That's it.
Appreciate you, G. Let's get a G. Is it G? We should probably prep a little bit more on that. That's outstanding work, G. Outstanding. You've been having you by my side during the show while I'm running it solo. It lifts me up.
Yeah,
You lift me up, brother.
that's what we're here for.
Now, let's get into the thing that everybody who's been watching the show every single week has just been. It's been a murder. It's been an absolute slaughter fest every time, every week. We're either 1 away, 2 away. Sometimes we don't even hit any of them in this parlay. But we are going, after we do a DraftKings ad, to talk about the Bet the Boys parlay. I love watching sports, but you know what makes it even better? Having some skin in the game, thanks to our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Wonder what the DraftKings Sportsbook app offers? Check out DraftKings live betting, same game parlay, and prop betting. You can even follow your favorite Barstool personalities' bets by joining the Barstool betting group on the app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up using promo code LOCKER. That's LOCKER. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Pray for us, DraftKings. Pray for us. Pray for us, people that are watching. But we said it right there. We have keys, right? You've already subbed. You've already commented. And now this is where belief starts to take place. I'm going to rattle 3 out for you here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. David Montgomery. Derrick Henry. And finally, a redemption week after coming back, not playing the entire season, has 100 total yards of offense. Christian McCaffrey. Those totals are?
It'll be +195.
Plus 195. What does that mean? It means DraftKings low-key agrees with us.
Dubs.
It means DraftKings low-key is like, hey, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. What if I hit the first one? If I hit the first one by myself, no one's doing the show over again. This is me, boys. Like, it doesn't matter if we get views or not. We're winning units. Am I right, Coop? Hell yeah, Coop. That's what I love to fucking hear. Coop. Boys, that's our NFL slate right there. I feel really good about it. Let's just do a real quick recap. We're taking Commanders and the over. We're taking the Lions -13. We're taking the Chiefs money line. Rapid fire. If you want to go back, you can go ahead and watch that. Go back. And then finally, our Bet the Boys parlay is going to be Dave Montgomery, Derrick Henry, and finally Christian McCaffrey. Call that thing an Oreo. It's going to look real good when that thing hits plus 195. We'll be right back. We'll get to college football. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the locker room. If you're just joining us, don't know why you would because it's that quickly. There's no commercials or anything like that. We went from NFL and now we are transitioning into the college football landscape. I took the entire NFL landscape and now the boys are going to help me out with the college portion. We're first going to start off with our trophy game of the week. That is presented by DraftKings. You probably heard this 5 minutes ago. I'm going to tell it to you one more time. I love watching sports, but you know what makes it even better? Having some skin in the game. Thanks to our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Wonder what the DraftKings Sportsbook app offers? Check out DraftKings live betting, same game parlays, and prop betting. You can even follow your favorite Barstool personality bets by joining the Barstool betting group on the app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up using promo code LOCKER. That's LOCKER. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Now, we're going to have Jack come up in a minute to talk about the trophy game, but I want to paint a little bit of a picture. And this game, Tennessee versus Georgia, has massive implications. The game's in Athens. We've been to Athens for the South Carolina game. Going to be very honest with you, a little bit underwhelmed with the environment there. I don't know if they were asleep at the wheel a little bit. They felt like they were going to handle South Carolina or what it was. But even the pregame, it just felt like everybody at Georgia knew they were going to win. I don't think that is the case now in Athens. I think the fans are very, very nervous, and I think it's safe to say that this is the biggest game for Kirby Smart in the regular season at home in his Georgia tenure. We'll just think about Georgia for a little bit. Georgia, they've had a lot of problems. Their offensive line is underperforming. Their quarterback is a sieve with the football. They're 104th in the nation in rushing the ball. Now, if you look at the preseason, they're one in the country. Carson Beck was probably the favorite, if not the second favorite, to win the Heisman Trophy. People thought the Georgia Bulldogs were reloading and were going to run away with it, go on an absolute tear after not making the college football playoff last year. Now, fast forward to where we are in the present day, they just took a big L to Ole Miss. They gave up 3 turnovers. We got a little bit of rain going on with the locker room. That's all right. That's part of the show. Sometimes we live in a big warehouse. There's going to be echoes. There's going to be those types of things. We just keep moving forward because we have bets to put in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia, they have completely underperformed this year to the outsider's perspective, the fans' perspective, the coach's perspective, and even the players' perspective. Now, Tennessee, on the other hand, has a lot of pressure on themselves as well. But the pressure is an optimistic pressure. If you're the Tennessee Volunteers and you remember the times of Peyton Manning and being great in the 90s, you are now a team that is knocking on the door of SEC dominance. People want to talk about it's just different in the SEC. I'm going to put away the fact that Michigan won the national championship last year. The Big Ten is the reigning national champion. We're talking about the SEC right now. And throughout the years, we know the hub of the college football landscape is finding the players to recruit to get them to their schools. And that hub consistently is in the SEC category geographically. Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana, sometimes Tennessee a little bit too. I'm not very familiar with their stuff. If Tennessee wins this game, you're looking at a team that's beaten Alabama and now has beaten Georgia. Tennessee has the opportunity to take themselves and thrust them into big dog category of the SEC. They have the opportunity to change the SEC's landscape by having that orange be the staple vocal point of the SEC. And it's not going to just be this year. Now you got Coach Heupel, who everybody's really excited about, can walk into the houses of these 5-star recruits and say, he doesn't have to say, don't go to Georgia, don't go to Alabama. He can say, you get to come to Tennessee. You get to come here and be a part of what we are building and now have, which is a SEC dominant football team. You have the perimeter players. You have great back end with your defense. You have a good quarterback in Nico, who may or may not play this week. But where are the weak points of Tennessee? It's largely considered in the trenches. When you look at the trenches, you're able to see these big dogs. Now you can tell them, we have something so powerful here. Look, we beat Georgia, we beat Alabama in the same year. Now we can get these motherfuckers in here and just take dominance to a whole new landscape in Knoxville, Tennessee. Right now, dogs are favored by 10. Personally, I believe that Tennessee's covering that. I think this is a big defensive game. I think Georgia, in order to have success on the field, moving the ball up and down the field, they have to get creative on the perimeter. This isn't, walk on Stetson Bennett, nicknamed the mailman, being able to sit there and lean on an offensive line and a strong run game, take over time of possession, and grind you into the dirt for 4 quarters of football. That Georgia is kind of like, they're in the corner a little bit. They're having a little bit of an identity crisis. You got a kid, Jake Pope, who is celebrating with Ole Miss fans after Ole Miss storms the field and Georgia wins. Now I know Kirby Smart's already talked about it. He goes into his press conference. He says it's stupid. It's idiotic. Listen, Jake, I'm going to tell you right now, brother, sometimes you got to hold the cards close to your vest, and I hope you see this clip because I've been in games we've gotten that ass beat, and I see a couple of my buddies I haven't seen for a couple of years, and I want to get excited. I want to hype them up, dap them up. But the reality of the situation is this. You got to put on a face. You were favored to win the national championship. You're also a white DB, brother. Like you're fighting the good fight out there, okay? You're a species that's just kind of been resurrected. We got to keep growing in this situation. I'll tell you a little story. Tempe, Arizona, my fifth year, we go play Kansas State. I have 40 people at the game. We get absolutely waxed 44-13 in that game. We had no shot the entire time. We're talking about Kansas State against the University of Michigan. They beat our ass. After the game, while the buses were still there, coaches were lingering and looking, side-eyeing me. Even though it was my last game in college, I still put on a brave face. Yeah, I wanted to dap up the boys, give them some love. I wanted to hug them. Hey, fuck yeah, dude, we did it. College is over. Now we're going to the NFL. We had to put on the brave face. A learning experience for the young lad. All that to be said, Georgia has a lot more to lose, and Tennessee has a lot more to gain in this game. So we're going to bring up Jack McPherson. I want to get your thoughts. Jack. Jack, welcome to the show. Welcome to the locker room.
Feels good to be on the program.
Do you want to tell the people about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, Jack McPherson. I'm a Tennessee Volunteers graduate. I graduated in 2017. I've been working with Bussin for about 5 years now. First time on the set, so it feels good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I want to hit on something you said about Jake Pope, that poor safety from Georgia. I don't know exactly what happened, if that was a nervous intention thing where he was just trying to get out of harm's way because Ole Miss's players are storming the field, the fans are storming the field, and he's just trying to make sure he's just not caught in the crosshairs. What it comes down to, though, is bad coaching. If your head coach is publicly calling you an idiot, that's bad ball. Doesn't matter what happened. Do I agree that Jake Pope should have been celebrating? Absolutely not. That's horrendous. But you got to lead from the front. I know Kirby Smart has since come out and apologized. But still, you're going to call one of your kids an idiot who's just a young, 19-year-old kid just trying to make his way in this world. You got to lead from the front. But let's go ahead and go over the keys to success.
Do you want to break that down a little bit? So you're saying the coach is the issue.
Yeah, I think anyone would agree with that.
Okay.
You shouldn't be calling a kid an idiot no matter what he does. That starts in the locker room. It starts with your culture. It starts with what should we do in these moments of adversity? Do we blame other kids? Do we call them idiots? I don't know. I don't see Heupel doing it. But again, let's move on from last week. Let's move on to this week.
Spoken like a true volunteer. I love it.
Go Vols. So I think the keys to success, you've already hit it on it a little bit. It's going to be a big defensive game. Both sides of the offensive balls for Georgia and Tennessee are struggling right now. Carson Beck, the obvious, thrown a lot of picks. In the last 3 games, he's thrown 9 interceptions. Can't have that, obviously. But equally to UGA's struggles with quarterback and offensive issues, Tennessee has their own to work through. Nico Iamaleava might not be playing this year. We're a little scared. This week. We're a little scared because it's a concussion protocol situation, so we don't know how long that could last. We see it with Tua. We've seen it with so many players nowadays. So if in the case he's not playing, we have Gaston Moore, who's a redshirt sophomore, played, I think, 5 games now total. The first snap he plays this season was against Alabama. We all saw how that went. Immediately throws a pick. But this past week,
got to give him credit, though, trying to push it down the field.
Yeah, he threw it out there. So, I do like it. Hated the pick. I was in hell a little bit during that moment in time. But this past week against Mississippi State, when his number was called up, he came in, he delivered. So in the off chance that Nico is sitting, I still think I have belief in him. The other keys, though, is Dylan Sampson, our star running back. He is currently tied for the single-season all-time touchdown scoring record in college football ever.
Gotta get him in.
Tied up with our boy Derrick Henry, friend of the show. But also Deontay Thornton, our star wide receiver. All 3 of these guys battling injuries. Small ones, but enough to make you very concerned, especially when our main issues are on offense right now. But if you look at Georgia, I've got a few stats.
Go ahead.
So obviously the spread is, I believe it's 10.5 on DraftKings right now. The over-under is 48. But Georgia right now is 7-0 in the last 7 matchups against Tennessee. The last matchup that Tennessee won, I was actually a witness to in Athens, Georgia, and it was Josh Dobbs' Hail Mary, which was a beautiful time for me as a college student. To see Georgia, especially an SEC rival, lose in such a high caliber game, you can't beat that. But Vols right now are posted as the 4th highest Havoc rating in the college football realm. If you don't know what the Havoc represents, so it's the percentage of plays that a defense records for tackles for loss, forced fumbles, pass intercepted, or passes broken up. So with that being said, us being the 4th highest, I mentioned earlier, Carson Beck, 9 interceptions in the last 3 games. Also, in these last 3 games, Beck was pressured only 37 times in 125 dropbacks. But of those 37 times pressured, only 8 completions, 7 sacks, and 5 interceptions. That QBR rating, it's a big 0. Where our strength is right now is our defense. James Pierce Jr. being our edge guy, probably a first-round draft pick. If we can get there and surround him and create pressure, I already feel like Georgia is one of these programs, and not to throw shade at Alabama, but they've been spoon-fed championships and SEC victories for breakfast for the last decade. So
2 decades.
Yeah. So for a little bit, they're starting to understand what actually losing feels like. And I want to say that fan base, if they see a quick early game where Carson Beck's throwing picks or they're getting pressure and they're not being able to move the ball, I see a lot of these people kind of curling up. They're not going to enjoy it. But for Tennessee fans, we've only known misery. We've only known loss.
You're born in the darkness.
We were born in the darkness. So if we come out a little, lazy or we're getting pressured, we understand that second half football exists in our realm. So anyways, like I said, key players, Nico being healthy, Dylan Sampson, Deontay Thornton, if these guys can be playing, there's definitely a position where we could run the ball. I will say there's been 0 teams this year that have scored over 20 points to the Vols, which is a massive thing. But I think the Vols right now are just in the driver's seat, not only to make it in the college football playoffs and cement them this week, but also the winner of this game will most likely be who is contending for the SEC championship, which is a big deal. So a huge SEC East matchup. I think that the big play will be the under in this game at 48. Like I said, no other team has scored over 20 points against the Vols. We aren't right now. Our air raid offense is not clicking, and especially without Nico, who knows what the identity is going to be. But I think the under's the play, and then, my Tennessee fandom, I'm going Vols money line.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay on the safe side for your bets, 10.5 points I think is an absurd amount to spot Georgia. So I'd give the Vols. Give them plus 10.5 if you want to be a little easy on it. But I'm taking Vols money line and the under. I think it's going to be a crazy matchup. College game day in Athens. You can't beat it this time of year. Just some powerhouse SEC football. I'm nervous, but a good nervous, and I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, you're talking like you're a little bit nervous. Let me ask you this. If Nico Collins plays...
Nico Collins.
Sorry, Nico.
Are you nervous?
Who's Collins?
Nico Collins is on the Texans.
Wide receiver for the
That's right.
Texans.
Nico
in the NFL.
Iamale Lave.
That's right. Nico, the word you just pronounced.
Iamale
if he
Lave.
plays,
Yes.
where's your confidence level at then?
I don't know if it changes necessarily. I think it's all going to be defensive. I think it's going to be a huge defensive game. If we can just control the ball, our run game is so important and so powerful right now that if we can just control the clock and then let our defense kind of do the rest, I'm not too nervous. I'm more nervous about the fact that who did Georgia lose to earlier in this? Their 2 losses are to
Alabama and Ole Miss.
Yeah, so after Alabama, they went and they played Texas, I believe, the week following, and they took care of business. I'm nervous they get the win versus Ole Miss, and then they get the stuff together in the locker room, and then they have more of a point to prove. I'm always nervous about that bounce-back game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily nervous about the matchup, more as them coming off of a tough loss in Oxford. So with that being said, I still think the Vols are, coached better. I think that we're going to come out. We are 2-1 against the spread on the road. Georgia is 1-4 against the spread at home this year. There's some stats there that are looking like the Vols are going to definitely give them a lot of trouble.
And you talk about the bounce back, that the pressure that the Georgia Bulldogs have in themselves, we talked about before you came up, is palpable. And when you lose to Alabama and you bounce back against Texas the way you do, you lose again. It's like, are you going to have the same kind of bounce back? It usually doesn't work that way where you bounce back multiple times in a football season. Usually you right the ship and then you just get full steam ahead. and they've proven the opposite way with the Ole Miss last week.
Yeah. I think if we punch them in the mouth, they know that their season is coming to a close. There's no chance a 3-loss team is getting in the college football playoff. Georgia could be the one that they would try and sneak in, but they're not going to do that. They're going to lose their opportunity to go to the SEC championship. So there's just a lot on the line for both teams, but I do think it's much more important that Georgia wins than the Vols do.
I agree with that. I think if Georgia loses this game, their hopes of the playoffs are done.
Yeah.
If Tennessee loses this game, there's still a roadmap to allow that to happen.
There's a path, but it's still scary. But I think the Vols
scary.
They're gonna run off that energy of this is going to end Georgia's season, and nothing would make Tennessee fans or players happier than to put them in the dirt. So
I agree.
I think that's where we're at. Tennessee Volunteers by 1 million. VFL.
Jack McPherson, thank you so much for joining
Appreciate
the show.
it.
Let's give a loud applause for Jack. Jack! Outstanding work. I was just going to take Tennessee plus 10. I love the under move. I love the under. You talked me into that right there. I like the under. So give me Tennessee plus 10, and then I'll also take under 48.5 points. I would love for the Volunteers to win this. When I got to Tennessee in 2014, I had to go through the little process of living in SEC world and had to figure out who my teams are going to be. Obviously, Bussin With The Boys has helped a lot with that, going to these different colleges. Love LSU. I'm a big fan of LSU, but I think Tennessee, that's my number one SEC team, so hoping for the best for them this weekend against the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, boys, let's move on to our tier talk. Now, the usual way we structure tier talk is I give you 3 games. This is how I feel. Boom, 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 boom. It's just not going to work with 2 hosts missing on the show. So for my tier talk this week, we're going to have Mitch Carsley come up. We're going to have JP Hovey, and then finally our tier 3 is going to be Mr. Sherman Young. We're going to start with Mitch Carsley. This tier 1 of this game is his Ohio State Buckeyes that are favored minus 28.5, and they are playing Northwestern. What is Northwestern's mascot? Wildcats. The Northwestern Wildcats. Total points in that game is 44. Mitch! Mitch Carsley, great to have you on the show, brother. I love that you did your hair for the show today.
Yep.
Obviously, you've caught a lot of flack from Bussin With The Boys about how you're not a real fan of Ohio State.
Yes,
how do you want to respond to that publicly right now?
I mean, it's kind of, I'm the only fan here that did not go to their school. So I feel like that kind of is played against me a little bit. And like the bandwagon of, I'm a Chiefs fan as well. Ohio State fan. You guys say I'm a Yankees and Dodgers fan. I don't care about baseball.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have been Ohio State fan since a youngin'.
How young? When did you fall in love with the Ohio State Buckeyes?
The way I became an Ohio State fan was I played NCAA 04 with Carson Palmer on the cover. The first team I was Ohio State. They had Maurice Claret, and they were good, and I liked them. And ever since then, I've been a fan. So I've been a fan since like Beanie Wells, Troy Smith, Ted Ginn, Alex Gonzalez, all those guys.
Okay, you got a Rolodex of names for us.
So I am
you know names.
I'm a true fan.
I love that. A true fan of a team that's been very dominant for a long, long time. Let's go over a couple stats of Ohio. Ohio has 44.23 points per game. Their opposing teams have 21. Now Northwestern, their points per game, 17.8. The opposing teams are putting up 23.8 points on them. The spread is obviously big for a big reason. I believe the new college football poll came out. Was that Ohio State at 1? Do we have Ohio State at 1 right now?
No, I have to be Oregon.
No.
Yeah,
I must have got switched up on that. But Ohio State obviously looming in that top 5 category, 28.5 points in a not so hostile environment in Northwestern.
Well, the game's actually at Wrigley Field.
The game's at Wrigley Field.
Which is cool.
True fan,
sick.
Mitch Carsley.
Yeah.
True fan, Mitch
But-
Carsley.
I mean, even if it were at Northwestern, I mean, they're in the middle of building a new stadium, so I think their current stadium could only hold like 8,000 people, if that.
Okay.
So like you said, the environment will not be there. But I have some stats.
Go ahead,
for
stat me out.
Northwestern.
And before you give those stats, by the way, I love how small your notebook
Yes,
is.
yeah.
That's fucking adorable. Look
This
at
is
that. When we used to do Bet the Bus, hosted by Will Compton, and last year a couple times by me, big stat guy was Mitch Carsley. So buckle up. You're about to have a nice one right here.
I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot because, I mean, my biggest worry for this is a sleeper game, like a trap game going into Indiana next week.
Which is wild. That was going to be one of the points I brought up.
Yeah, and I mean, it could possibly be, but I think Northwestern is so bad that there really isn't a chance that we lose or slip up on this game. Northwestern is 119th in their passing game and 126th in scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State is 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games. Northwestern is 1-4 against the spread in its last 5 home games. Yes, this is at Wrigley, but it's still in Chicago. That's still where Northwestern is at, and they're 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games against Ohio State. I think Ohio State runs away with this. I think by third quarter, you're going to start seeing Ohio State backups, but I still believe our backup team could still beat Northwestern. So
very confident, very disrespectful to the Wildcats.
Yeah, we got depth. We have a lot of depth, and I think Northwestern has struggled ever since Pat Fitzgerald left because of that whole hazing bullshit, whatever.
Yeah. Hazing that was brought on by Peter Skoronsky, I believe. He was the number 1 person in that.
Oh, he was he?
No, he wasn't.
But I think we're gonna try and it's not a statement game or anything, but they're gonna run away with it, and I think that Northwestern isn't gonna be able to move the ball against Ohio State's defense, and Ohio State with Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, and Will Howard, they're gonna kind of have a little bit of a fun game in the first half, a little stat padding, a little do their thing, get in the end zone, do their dance at Wrigley, kind of a historic place to play.
Definitely a historic place to play.
And I think they should be able to cover the spread, and I also believe they'll go over. My only hesitation with the over is when the backups get in, how's that going to fare? But I believe they should be straight.
All right. Mitch Carsley, thank you for joining the show, sir. Really appreciate you. Round of applause for Mitch. What a guy. Now, you did bring up one point we kind of glossed over a little bit, is they do have the Indiana Hoosiers, who are number 5 right now, following this game against Northwestern, which I just found out is in Wrigley Field. That, for me, is the only reason why I'm going to take Northwestern plus 28.5 points. This reminds me a lot of Maryland last year for Michigan. Michigan played Penn State. They win that game, not throwing the football at all in the second half. They go play Maryland, a couple of turnovers. Boys just didn't look like they were ready. They were so focused on Ohio State the next week, and ended up beating Ohio State the following week. I can't wait to watch Ohio State, Indiana next week. I think Ohio State, as a coaching staff, if you're thinking, okay, this game should be a win, should be an absolute lock, let's get a big enough lead. Let's put those second-team guys, third-team guys in, maybe a little faster than we usually would in the early part of the season where we're still trying to get reps for our ones. And I think Northwestern gets enough scores to lose by 24. You know, I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Ohio State's going to control the game the entire time. We will see. Also, Ohio State had some trouble with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Had trouble with those boys, didn't they, Mitchie? But Nebraska is different than Northwestern, something we can all agree on. The next person we are going to bring up is probably the number 1 South Carolina fan in all of the land. He's been quoted. He's been put in articles. People are talking about him. Shane Beamer, I believe, has said the reason why I have so much success is guys like J.P. Hovey. Being a fan of South Carolina, I might have just quoted that, but I'm sure he's thought about that once or twice in his life. Let's give a round of applause for J.P. Now we got a Gamecocks.
Who we got?
Gamecocks, baby. We're going Gamecocks all the way in this thing. I hate the fact that I gave you my answer right away. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I want you to go first.
Okay. I look at Missouri the same way I look at Georgia. There was a lot of hype and excitement about Missouri and what they could possibly do in the SEC this year. And then the same with the Gamecocks, it's kind of like it's a regional team thought out. They have a big, high fan base. They have outstanding home field atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But really, once you get out there, not a whole lot of people in the SEC or out of the SEC are talking about USC.
Never.
Now Missouri, center goes down.
Yep.
Okay, he's been a consistent starter with them. Does a great job. He goes out with a lower leg injury. They have this young cat. His name is Drake Miser. He's a 5th-year senior who will be snapping the ball to their quarterback, who also has a wrist and hand injury. He has not started a game his entire career at Missouri. One of the few people that has played his entire career at one college.
The center.
Brady Cooks. That man is 2-0 versus USC.
Yeah.
But he's got that hand and wrist injury. When I look at this game, I look at 3 names. I look at Raheem Sanders, who your
Yep.
senior right now is averaging 5.3 yards per carry. I also look at Lenora Sellers, who's a redshirt freshman. This dude has come on in his last 3 weeks, has had 5 touchdowns and zero interceptions. Beat the shit out of Oklahoma.
Yep.
Beat the shit out of Texas A&M.
Yep.
Beat the shit out of Vanderbilt.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff. This kid's really starting to come along. He's obviously helping in the run game quite a bit because he's got some wheels on him. And then Dylan Stewart.
Stewie.
Absolute stud. The article came out. We talked about it before the show a couple of days ago about how he might be getting a $1.5 to $2 million in NIL deal. Really crazy that we're dealing with that in college football right now. Yeah, he's got the yad out on those kids.
That's why we need this week of money, bro.
This tells me 2 things. South Carolina is going to win this game,
Mm-hmm.
and the future of South Carolina is brighter than it could ever possibly be. With that being said, JP Hovey, you have the floor.
This is one of my favorite stats I saw this week, and it was from Gamecock Russ, who we love Gamecock Russ in the Gamecock community. He always drops these stats. Taylor, who is the most historical coach South Carolina has had?
Spurrier.
Steve Spurrier. How many SEC teams did he beat by 21 points or more in his 11 years coaching?
3.
8.
8.
Shane Beamer is in year 4. How many has he beaten by 21 plus?
8.
7.
7.
Now, he has never beaten Missouri. Missouri has beaten us the last 5 years. It is a trophy game. It's the Mayor's Cup. Last time we beat him, it was like a flood bowl. Michael Scarnecchia was the quarterback. And what fires me up the most about this game, like you're saying, Brady Cook, he's probably going to be out. Their center is out. South Carolina, where we're playing right now with our record and college football playoff rankings coming out, we're at 21. The chances we get in are slim.
Slim.
But we win out. We take care of business. We'll be right on that door, which is exactly where you want to be. Because I promise you, on November 30th or December 1st, whatever day it is, the first tweet I'll be putting out is they need to expand the college football playoff to 14 teams. Because we're going to be that close.
You're going to be 13 or 14.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they need to expand it.
Already. If they're 15.
Yeah.
You say we need to expand it to 15 teams?
Whatever's going to make us get
Right.
in.
Top 25.
Why
Gotta
not?
be it. Why not?
March Madness.
Have it go crazy.
But with this game, ultimately, I think we're at a point with our team, and this feels nice to say, is it doesn't matter what the other team brings. It matters what we bring. And if our defense keeps playing how they're playing, if Lenore Sellers keeps getting better like he's been getting better, I don't care what Missouri throws out there. They don't have the guys to match up against our guys.
I love that. And also, I hate to bring back a bad memory, but if you can pull it out against Alabama.
LSU mainly. Alabama, it sucks we lost it.
Mm-hmm.
It could have gone either way anyways. LSU, there was 8 million phantom calls that never should have happened.
Oh, you're saying the Zebras were throwing laundry all over the field and messing up your day.
Yeah. So we're working on addresses of those refs still.
We'll find them.
Yeah. But the defense, because a lot of people talk about Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. We realistically have 7 or 8 guys that could get drafted.
This year.
3
in
of
the
them
future.
day 1 and 2 this year. South Carolina is the place to come. If you are a recruit, if you are a transfer, South Carolina is the place you want to be because Roman Harper and your boy Cole, that's how you say his last name?
Kennett?
No, Kublik or
Kublik?
Kublik.
Oh.
You heard him on TV. They said, if I'm a player right now, I want to be playing for that South Carolina defense.
But can I ask you this? And
Yeah.
I've always noticed that South Carolina has a lot of players in the NFL. So you guys obviously do a great job of either developing talent or getting talent at USC.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys never have success as a team in the SEC. Why is that?
When we had success as a team, it was with Spurrier. So Spurrier, obviously he knows how to coach up a good culture, a good program. But the difference between Spurrier and Coach Beamer, Spurrier, South Carolina was a side mission. For Shane Beamer, South Carolina is the mission. There's no other place he wants to be. There's no other place he wants to go. And so he will do whatever it takes. I'm convinced Shane Beamer would die for the South Carolina Gamecocks. And for that reason, you're going to start seeing the teams that match the players we produce.
Beautifully said. Reminds me of Kenny Dillingham when we were in the spring game.
Dude, I'm
Doesn't want to
telling
go
you.
anywhere else, wants to literally die.
If we can get Dilly on our staff,
You don't want no. He's never leaving. He's activated the Valley.
he did.
He's activated the Valley. They're 7-2 right
That's
now.
where if I'm not going to South Carolina, I'm going to the Valley.
Yeah, you going to the Valley?
Yeah, I got to.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to JP Hovey. Thank you, sir, so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Boys, I'm really enjoying the show right now. I'm having a really good time, and I appreciate you guys putting the work in you guys have. Mitch, great job. Jack, great job. JP, great job. There's going to be one more individual we're going to call up. His name is Sherman Young. We're going to talk about Texas at Arkansas. Some of you call it Arkansas. It's really just an AR at the ends of Kansas. It's Arkansas. Total points in that game is 57.5. So I was looking at this game, and people are saying like, oh, big rivalry game. This is a big rivalry game. I looked it up, like, yeah, the game, the first time they played was 1894. Okay, so it was a long time. But Texas won that game 54-0. Like, the overall series between these guys, 56-23, owned by the Texas Longhorns. The last meeting is, I guess, where you can make it a little bit more of a rivalry. 9/11, never forget. Let's have a quick moment of silence. 9/11-2021, Arkansas beat Texas 40-21, whooped that ass. That was Steve Sarkisian's first year as a head coach and we'll just call it a mediocre Texas Longhorn team. Sam Pittman was also the HC for Arkansas. So this is going to be a fun little time. It's been 3 years since these guys have seen each other on the same field, going head-to-head once again. I'm sure Sarkisian wants to get back at it, but there's a couple of players that the Texas Longhorns have to worry about. I'll call you up in here just a sec. You know what? Let's bring in Sherm right now. Let's bring in Sherman Young.
Sherm. Slug.
Thank you very much for joining the show. Before I go over these stats, what happened? Were you in an accident?
Yeah, I was involved in a single vehicle accident over the weekend.
Oh my God, are you okay?
I'm doing all right. Tipped my bike over. It was just me. It was no one else. Everything's okay.
Okay.
There's no mistress or lover involved in the accident whatsoever.
But you can understand by saying that, it makes me believe that there might have been a mistress or...
Yeah, but you know how the chat is. You know how people are online. They're asking those questions. They're saying, "Oh, Sherman, you were with somebody. We saw. There were witnesses." Nay.
Very
false.
rarely are there witnesses on the middle of a road when there's a bike accident.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true as well. So I just want to put all those rumors to bed. I just want to talk ball. I'm not here to talk about this.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay, and I'm glad that there was no mistress with you. I'm sure Julie Bean would not be very happy about that.
Oh, of course. I'm a married man.
Absolutely.
What can I say?
Yeah, so you would never.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And shame on the people making up that there's witnesses at a bike accident.
Yeah, I mean, the internet's going to internet, right?
No doubt.
We can't control what they're doing. We can only control what we're doing. That's a JP Hovey quote right there.
Yeah. Sound like a hell of a football coach.
Thank
Now,
you.
okay, we brought you up here today to talk about the Texas Longhorns who are favored by 13.5 against Arkansas. Now, a lot of people and their mother are going to say Texas is going to run away with this one and just absolutely pummel Arkansas. Do you view the same thing? Do you view it the same way?
Yeah, I mean, you were making some great points there. I would love to hear your thoughts. You were just about to finish kind of like what direction you were going. I would love to just hear your thoughts on that.
Personally, I think Texas is going to win this game. I think something about Arkansas, people say that they go so hard there. The environment is incredible, something that we might have to look into in the fall next season, 2025. I just jotted down a few players that if you are a Texas Longhorn fan, you're going to have to be a little bit worried about. First one's going to be Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver. Kid's 6'4", he's 205 pounds. He's got the size, the strength, the speed. Anytime Texas is in a one-on-one coverage, he's going to body bag the smaller DBs. Kid's got the bunnies. He has the ability, a long catch radius, able to bring the ball in and really expose some of these smaller DBs. Obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, you have Landon Jackson, edge rusher, 6'6", 270. He's got a big matchup with Kelvin Banks, who is the left tackle for Texas, largely considered the number one offensive tackle in this upcoming draft. He gave up a couple against Georgia when they had a really bad game. I believe it was 30-15 when they played Georgia at Georgia. So you got those two, and then obviously Taylor Green, your quarterback, right? Kid has got this boomer bust type of mentality. He's a dual threat quarterback. He has this ability to make extreme X plays, but he also has the ability to give away the ball. I think he's number 2 in the SEC of X plays, and he's also number 2 in the SEC of turnovers. So the kid's got a big boomer bust. If he's able to play consistent, Andrew Armstrong is able to get the ball in his hands and body back some of these DBs. And Landon Jackson, don't know why I keep messing up names today. Landon Jackson is able to get to the quarterback. Might be a long day for the Longhorns, but I want to know how would you feel.
All right, go off, King. I like Taylon Green. Taylon Green's fun. He reminds me of an NCAA video game quarterback.
Yeah, that quarterback that was at Temple and now at your Baylor Bears.
Yeah, DeQuan Finn. DeQuan Finn. Yeah, here's the deal. I love Arkansas in this game. I love Taylon Green in this game. Taylon is coming off wait, his name's Taylon too.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I did a little mix up in the brain.
Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, Taylon Green. And actually didn't even strike me that my wife's name is Taylon until just now when your eyes lit up.
Yeah, as I was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I did a huge mix up there. Also Taylon Green. But Taylon is coming off of a knee injury from 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss. They've had a bye week. He's rested up. For anybody that watched that Ole Miss game, it was ugly for the Razorbacks. Very ugly. Ole Miss was able to put a ton of points on him. They do have a true freshman backup quarterback that went in there and slung it. His name's Malachi Singleton. So if Green is not able to go or he's not 100%, maybe he starts the game, he gets pulled out. Malachi Singleton looks equally impressive. Unrelated to my single vehicle accident this weekend, I'm a huge fan of the offensive coordinator for Arkansas, which is Bobby Petrino. Great guy.
Round of applause for Bobby.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for that. Bobby does a lot of really fun things on offense. He was able to take Louisville's program from the grave, put them on the map. He was able to then go to Arkansas, put them on the map. Now, obviously, he's not the head coach anymore. You have Pittman there. And we talked about the last time the Longhorns played the Razorbacks, way different Arkansas team. They're very run heavy. They just pounded the rock the entire night, and Texas had no answer for it. They're a little bit more pass heavy, but they can run the ball because Pittman is big on having the hogs in the trenches that can push that ball around. So you still have that mentality, but now you have that spread offense that Bobby Petrino is bringing in. They were able to sneak up and beat Tennessee. That was kind of more so their defense and their offense in that game. It was a really low-scoring affair. But they have been able to put up a ton of points this year, 70, 56, 39, 31. They're able to score points. I think you can't stop Texas's offense. That's not going to happen. I don't see Texas going in there now this late in the season, and especially after the Georgia loss. Remind me his name. I'm blanking so hard on
Carson Beck?
No, the head coach of Texas.
Steve Sarkisian.
Steve Sarkisian.
Which we can all understand. Sherman being in a motorcycle accident earlier this week.
Yeah, stuff's a bit loose up there. But Sarkisian has been mixing it up with a ton of misdirection stuff. The offense is pumping, and they pump Florida. I don't think Arkansas is really going to stop their offense. I see this as early morning game, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Check the weather. Low of 40, high of 63. Nice and crisp.
Football weather.
Partly cloudy with a chance of woo pig suey. The Fidelts and the E-Dogs are going to be hitting Dixon Street on Friday night. Best part about Dixon Street, closes at 2 a.m., opens back up at 6 a.m. So if you want to stay out all night, stay up all night, go back out, hit a little brunch, get a bloody, start pre-gaming for that game. The Hogs are going to be going crazy. I've been to 3 games in Fayetteville. We had some family friends growing up. They're big Hog fans. When they call those Hogs, boys, it gets wild. And those E-Dogs and those Fidelts are going to be cooking with gas. For those Southwest Conference sickos, this is a huge rivalry game. You're going to see horns down everywhere you look. I think Taylon Green, Malachi Singleton, it doesn't matter. Whoever's slinging it, they're going to be slinging it. It's going to be a shootout. 13.5, that's offensive. Now, the Longhorns might win this game, but it ain't going to be 13.5. I'm taking Arkansas spread to cover.
Let's give a round of applause for Sherman Young. I like that. I will also be taking Arkansas because of everything you just said.
Okay, great.
That presentation really just sells me on most things.
Okay, great. Do I walk off now?
That's where you walk off.
Okay, perfect. Pig Suey.
Pig Suey. Woo! Pig Suey.
Razorbacks.
Razorbacks.
Yeah, you do it on the third one.
Okay. Do you want to do the whole thing again just in case?
If that's fine by you. G, is that all right?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Actually,
Does everybody want to join in on this?
yeah,
real
does
quick?
everybody want to get up, hit a little woo pig?
Yeah. Jack refuses to. Understandable based
we
on what
get-
Sherman said they lost.
Is it okay if we get Coop up here?
Yeah, let's get Coop up here.
Is that all
Let's
right?
get Coop.
And can we do a Coop Pig Suey? Is that too much?
Yeah, no, I like that. Coop, why don't you grab a little seat right here, bub?
Hey, Coop.
I need 100% out of you on this, though. 100% enthusiasm.
We're all doing it, though, right?
Oh, we're all doing it. Coop. Pig Suey. Coop. Pig Suey. Coop. Pig Suey. Razorbacks.
calm stuff.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
thanks for having
Appreciate you,
me.
Coop. Sherman, thank you so much for joining the show. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys all. We are almost done here on the locker room. We have one more thing for you, and that is the Ballsy pick, which is going to be brought to you by Fireball Whiskey. So many things make football great, but you know what the best thing is? Kicking the living shit out of your rival. There's absolutely no better feeling as an athlete or a fan. This week, Arkansas Razorbacks, Texas Longhorns, and Fayetteville. How you say it? Fayetteville?
Whatever you want.
Fayetteville. Fireball Whiskey is here to give you the spark to ignite that rivalry all season long. I want you all to know right now, every pick we have made, I feel extremely confident about. Obviously, if I've teetered and tottered a little bit on the tier talks and where I was probably going to go, I'm a big optimism guy. I'm a big presentation guy. Anytime you sit in front of me saying a bunch of nice words, I tend to think to myself, maybe they've got an absolute point, and then I just follow you blindly into the world, kind of like Arkansas plus 13.5 versus Texas. The world doesn't think so, but for now, I think so. This next pick is a ballsy pick. It's plus 260. It takes place in the Big 12. Kansas State right now ranked in the top 25. Taking on a ball club out of Tempe, Arizona. The dirty desert, where a bunch of desert rats are ripping around, activating the valley left, right, and center, led by those only who know him as Kenny Dillingham. Let's give him a round of applause. Friend of the show.
Dilly.
This is a fuck it kind of pick, dude. Both teams are 7-2. Both teams are looking to possibly go into a Big 12 championship. But you look at the two losses from ASU, and this is where I kind of feel a little juicy in my bones a little bit. Obviously, they get absolutely by the Oregon Ducks. That stuff's going to happen. Oregon Ducks did to my Michigan Wolverines. They beat Ohio State. They've just put on an absolute display this entire year. But the other game they lost, which kind of makes your eyebrows raise a little bit, that's going to be Cincinnati. They lose that game, doesn't go well for them. So you start to do a little bit. You start to get your fingers a little dirty, a little hot as you hit the keyboard, finding out how did they lose this game. Turns out Sam Leavitt, who was the starting quarterback, got out, cracked himself a rib, actually. He's been out for a couple of weeks. They're feeling a whole lot better. And who fucking comes in? Will Compton's nightmare, Jeff Sims. Quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We got a little bit of rain. Right now. Are you picking that up on the feed? Good. Fuck it, dude. This is part of the show. This is what we do. Got a little bit of rain. We're going to keep talking about it anyway. Sam Leavitt comes out. Jeff Sims goes in. Now, for the grace of God, this man did not have a turnover against Cincinnati. However, he did not play very well at all. And if we look back, we turn back the time clock a little bit, hit ourselves a time capsule, pop back up in 2023. We're watching the Nebraska Cornhuskers be last in all of college football in turnover margin. Largely, that is because of Jeff Sims. I don't want to turn this show into an anti-Jeff Sims show. That's not what this is all about. All that to be said, you get a guy like Sam Leavitt in there who's able to dish the ball around a little bit, facilitate to his boys in the perimeter. You're in a good position because what's right behind you? Mr. Scatterbo himself, White running back. That boy runs the ball hard, had himself a little bit of an injury. I believe it was a lower leg injury, has now come back, feeling good. Kid's over 1,000 yards right now. Will had the opportunity to coach him in the ASU spring game a year ago. And right then and there, as I was watching him pummel through my team's defensive line and front seven, I knew right in there a star was being born. This guy is like, what's the guy I'm looking for? What's the individual I'm looking for?
Barry Sanders.
This guy's like Pat Tillman on the offensive side of the ball, trudging up the hill with enemy fire coming left, right, and center. This guy doesn't give a damn. He's running through your face. He's putting spin moves on you. He's hitting you with a couple of hezzies. That's what he's going to do as they're activating the Valley as a 7-2 football team. I am taking ASU money line against Kansas State, who is favored by 9.5 points. Once ASU wins this game, Valley's officially activated. Officially, forever. Even though they have a number 7 BYU the following week. We're not going to even talk about that. They can go lose the rest of them. You win this one, boys, we got a good ball club down in Arizona. Most fair weather fan state of all time. That's what we're looking at with Arizona State. Feel good about that. Feel excited about these picks. I hope you guys feel excited about these picks. It's been an amazing show. We're not done yet. We have the fan call-in segment still that is going to be brought to us by True Classic. Big, massive round of applause for Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg.
Boys, we're having a hard time with the fan calling. We didn't know what to think, what to do. It was my little face up there for most of the season in a cold tub. Nate Dogg comes in with Amazing Blue on, one of those fun little helmets, gives us a military parlay that absolutely hit. Made the beautiful people at DraftKings very sick. And now we have another fan calling. Same Nate Dogg? Nate Dogg, round 2. Let's see what he's got for us.
What's up, man? Cheers to a dub last week, boys. If you don't know, I had a little military parlay cooked up for the fan call-in last week. It hit by a mile. You didn't even have to blink at any of those games. One of the more impressive performances you'll ever see. That's why I'm striking the Heisman. That's why I'm dressed like a fucking pimp. But I'm not celebrating, boys. I'm not popping champagne bottles. The outfit probably looks like I am. I'm not. I've been deep in the books. I'm treating it like I went 0-3 last week, and I got a special one cooked up for y'all. First, we're going Hawaii -2.5 at Utah State. Then we're going Liberty -14 at UMass. And lastly, we're going Georgia State -2.5 versus Arkansas State. That's bookwork. That's me deep in the sports book. That's why I'm a Vegas bully. I'm not big game hunting. Vegas doesn't like book nerds. I'm deep in the books. I'm finding the ones that no one else is looking for, and that's why you need to ride, because we're going back-to-back this week like Michigan should have done this year. Shout out the locker room. Shout out True Classic. Let's make some fucking money, man.
Go, Nate
Bro, he
Dogg.
is fucking dialed, man. Nate Dogg is truly dialed in. I said it before when I was talking about Kansas State and ASU. You just talked to me real nice. You put your words together in a nice organized fashion. I'm going to buy whatever you're selling. Nate Dogg didn't let us down last week. Those odds are Hawaii. Sorry, let's go Hawaii -2.5 versus Utah State, Liberty -14 versus UMass, and Georgia State -2.5 versus Arkansas. The odds in that game, he's already said it, +581. Disgusting. Now, whether I'm going to take it or not, I'm going to tell you right after I tell you about True Classic, because that's what I'm wearing today. You've probably thought to yourself, wow, Taylor looks like he's been working out quite a bit, and I have. But it has nothing to do with what I do in the gym. It's what I put on my body week in and week out. And what I put on my body, you guys know by my uniform I put in like a cartoon character. It's True Classic every single week. The call-in segment is sponsored by True Classic. Now, I've already talked about what I like a little bit. Oh, fuck. Drop the mic. That's okay. That's okay. Look at this. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? You want to squat? Sat on that thing. And you can sit on it too as long as you wear a True Classic, dude. You want to get frisky? You got to buy yourself a pair of True Classic, dude. These things are going to get you can get as nasty as you want with these boys on. Talking about denim on denim massacre. Let's go to talk about True Classic. Sending out codes to hook you all up with True Classic. So be sure to give them a shout out in our comments on our socials using hashtag True Classic Caller for a chance to win, upgrade your wardrobe, and save on True Classic at trueclassic.com. Very simple. Go in the comments. Put hashtag True Classic Caller. You do that, our boy Ryan's going to search that little thing. He's going to find some people. He's going to pick some people out. Gift cards. What you're going to find out when you get a gift card, you're going to realize these things are not only delicious and make you feel great, they're also incredibly affordable. Let's lock this thing up. Let's end the show. It's been way longer than we all expected it to be, including myself. I'm riding with Nate Dogg. Simple as that. Nothing fires me up more than seeing a bunch of teams that never make any headlines. That's the kind of guy I want making my parlay picks week in and week out. Yeah, we can get fancy with the Georgias and the Tennessees and the big, Michigans and Indiana and Ohio State. I can't believe I said Indiana and that, but you know what I'm saying. You pick these small little schools, he knows something we don't. He knows something that Vegas doesn't. And for that reason, I'll be going that parlay. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the solo mission of the locker room. Like I said before, new merch is coming out for Black Friday. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to have massive giveaways yet again. It's going to be amazing. We appreciate all of you who watch this show, who subscribe to the show, who comment on the show. You are the people that allow us, myself, to sit in front of you and talk to you day in and day out. Big hugs, tiny kisses, and let's have a hell of a week and possibly go undefeated. Thank you.